All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, only seen here out of Tin Mirrors Studios, Kings Park, Long Island, where we've got the super co-host, the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Pharaoh. Jimmy, how are you?
What's up? What's up? Back again. Feel like we just did this.
Dude, we got the groove going now. It's been a couple, we finally got it together. Very excited for tonight's guest, Bob Cook, the infamous Bob Cook, pro wrestling superstar.
Nice.
He was on Dan and Benny last week, and Benny got all butthurt because I got him coming on this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I guess he thinks he owns Bob. I don't know.
He owns Bob? You know, there's some strange ingredients in your soup, Mike. Go ahead. Go ahead. That's fine.
I guess Bob's his bitch. I don't know.
Would you? Wow, he's not even on yet. Can you wait?
No, no, I'm not blaming Bob. I'm blaming Benny.
Okay. Well, bitch is a tough term, though. You're talking
well,
like...
I mean, you know, it's like, hey, I just had Bob on. Why do you have Bob on?
What's the difference anyway? Like if he wanted Bob Backlund the next week, wait a minute, you wouldn't let him. What are we talking about here?
I would not have.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
All right, before we get to the iconic Mr. Cook, want to go over a news item with you. Adam Montgomery sentenced to 45 years of life of murder for the murder of his daughter, Harmony.
Okay.
Adam Montgomery refuses to say where Harmony's body is. Prosecutors say Montgomery killed Harmony, then moved her body around the trunk of his car, in a ceiling vent of a homeless shelter, and in a walk-in freezer at a restaurant where he works. So I guess he takes his kid after he murders her and just moves her from room to room. There's nothing minimal about the... What's that?
And eventually she becomes a TV dinner? Go ahead.
What?
Why you say he threw her in the freezer? This is nothing to laugh about, Jimmy. Go ahead. Finish the rest of this disgusting person's story.
There is nothing minimal about the crimes that he's being convicted for today, said the prosecutor. Okay. He offered to reduce the request to 35 years to life instead of 45 years to life. What does it matter?
All right. Are you ready? Do you want my opinion? Is the story done?
Yeah, it's done. Go ahead. Let me have your opinion.
Okay. It goes something like this. He won't tell where the body is. I think we should go old school and dissect him live on television, piece by piece, slowly. No, we start with the toenails, okay? And I'm sure that by the time we're at the kneecap, we'll know where his poor daughter is buried. How old was his daughter? Does it mention, by the way? Not that it matters. How old was his daughter? I mean, look, this is Bob's holding up 5 fingers. I could see him, folks. He's not on yet, obviously, but if this kid was 5, what state was this in? There should be a death penalty. See you later, bye. Free microwave for you.
I honestly think you have to Goodfella it, right? And like or casino it and put his head in a vice and turn it until his eyes pop out, right?
Okay. All right. I would go the slower route because I feel like you'll still get the answer and then you could roast him anyway.
So in today's society, and we're going to ask Mr. Cook this when we come out of commercial because I'm very I have a feeling Mr. Cook has some very interesting ideas and thoughts, and I got that from the Dan and Benny interview. This guy's going to be great, man. He's got no filter.
Cool.
How many people out there do you think Mr. Adam Montgomery is innocent?
How many people think he's innocent? How could anybody think? Why would he be innocent? I'm not sure.
Well, that's why you're so smart, because I'm going to ask you this question. Obviously, we got a very popular television broadcast, and by the way, we're seen by cable, New York cable, 3 times a week, Channel 115, Channel 20, seen by over 150,000 viewers, where you will see Mr. Cook in the reduced version.
There you go.
We do ask, everybody who watches us understands our hatred and sickness for the Chris Benoit.
Right.
But more and more, Jimmy, on our social media, a lot of people, first of all, are saying we're exploiting Chris Benoit asking wrestlers about him, number one. But number two, shockingly higher levels of people believing Chris Benoit did not do this murder. Thoughts on that?
Absolute horse shit. The internet allows every last scumbag to come onto a keyboard and self-empower themselves with their diarrhea of the lips. The guy killed his family. Not to quote New Jack, but fuck you, Chris Benoit. I can show you 10 different videos of Chris Benoit taking a chair shot, and he's got his hand blocking it every time. And New Jack took one bump after another, broke his leg, dove from the tops of arenas, and everything else. And as New Jack said, never once did I want to kill my kid. All right? You're a bunch of fucking pathetic human beings. That's a sad excuse for a murderer who killed his wife and kid. What on earth is wrong with you that you have to get on a keyboard and spout that horse shit? All right? And Vince McMahon didn't do it, and Kevin Sullivan didn't do it. Mike, we've hung with Kevin at the bar. All right? We're not in the business, by the way, you marks. Okay? But we hung with Kevin at the bar, and bullshit. All right? You know, you take down a lot of people with your conspiracy theories. I'm not a fan of conspiracy theories anyway. History's being rewritten every day on plenty of things we both think is a bunch of horse shit. All right? So let them, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do. But it's not going to change the facts. And the facts have been recorded, and the man's gone, and now he's got to deal with the maker. And that's none of my business. That's the maker's business.
Well done. Next week, we've got special guest Bare Knuckles former champion, Mr. Ulysses Diaz, who has the quickest knockout in the history of bare knuckle fighting. He's also an MMA fighter and a professional boxer. He also has the prestigious availability. I don't even know how to say it, but he has a wife by the name of Miss Dana Brooke, former WWE star, either wife or fiance. Right. I met Mr. Diaz at the last big event, and let me tell you something, Jimmy.
Yeah.
This guy, nice guy, great guy, scary as shit.
What, like Todd Bettner times 100?
People don't know who Todd Bettner is, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's Todd Bettner times 1,000.
Wow.
Look, let me put it this way. I don't think I've ever met too many people that have scared me in life. If that guy wanted to fuck me up, I'd be like, "Yo, bro,
right?
Please, just leave me alone." Right?
Hey, let it be said too, respectfully to you too, though, because hey, I can't blame you. New Jack made you uncomfortable.
Absolutely. There comes a part in life where people have to know their role. I always go back to the whole Mark Merrow thing. When he found out Sable was fucking around on him, and he was ready to kick the guy's ass, and he finds out it's Brock Lesnar. He goes, all right, well,
see you
have
later.
a good time.
See you later. I'm going this way.
Exactly. With Mr. Diaz, if he got pissed at me, I'd be like, listen, I don't know what I did to make you mad, but I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. I am sorry. But the guy is so nice. I'm telling you, he's going to be an awesome guest. Anyway, I'd like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monte The Pharaoh and Jimmy Pharaoh, who's on the other side of the state in Florida, along with his partner, Bart Griggs, who was part of the Karen McDaniel. Oh, we have to ask Mr. Cook if he knew Wahoo, and we could explain that Mr. Cook's not on air yet, but he can hear us. Our own Jimmy Pharaoh has married Miss Karen McDaniel, who is the former wife of Wahoo McDaniel. I don't know if it's improper to say widowed wife, but they met on this show, and it was instant love, and they had their wedding last weekend. It was fantastic. His partner, Bart Griggs, was with him. They sing such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on Spotify, Reverb Nation. You could also go to their YouTube channel where you do what, Jimmy?
Like and subscribe.
And if you didn't know it, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh. You can catch Monte The Pharaoh on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, X, Instagram. Jesus, we're on all audio, iHeart, Spotify. We're also on New York Cable, where I mentioned earlier, 150,000 people will be watching Mr. Bob Cook in the reduced version. We're going to take a commercial break, Jimmy, and then we're going to have our opportunity to speak to Mr. Cook. I'm very excited. I'm going to tell you, I love Dan and Benny. He was on there. They had some audio problems, and it was a little bit messy. But what I
Okay.
was able to get from that wonderful interview Dan and Benny did, this guy's got the goods. And I'll be honest with you, don't understand why he wasn't a bigger star in wrestling. This guy has got his shit together, bro.
Sounds like a plan, man. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Sir?
Ah.
Manscaped?
Uh-huh.
Have you tried the new equipment that's been sent?
I'm afraid because it says weed whacker. I'm scared.
Maven, Manscaped, what are you thinking about
Love it.
Manscaped, dude?
Love it.
What do you use it for?
Necessity. What don't I use it for? Put it this way. The only hair I have on my entire body is these eyebrows.
Yeah.
That you see. These
Wow.
caterpillars racing to the middle of my nose. That's it.
That is it.
That's all I have. And that's all I want.
That's the
So
pick.
Manscaped is a
You-
must.
We were talking before the show. There's nothing worse than just hair.
Yeah.
Right? Hair on a woman, hair on a man. It's just bad.
Absolutely. And it's the one thing that the older I get, it starts growing more in unwanted areas.
Absolutely.
I hate it.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Just going to go out there.
Oh, boy.
Go for it.
You're doing a deed.
Yes.
Again, I don't want you to have to admit this because we, as men, we try not to admit this. But if you're going to
Oh,
go
I
do the
know
deed
where-
on a woman,
I know where
would you
he's
rather
going.
have her be hairless or a little hair, racing stripe, or
Racing stripe.
full retro bush?
Racing
Well,
stripe.
Retro Bush is out.
Yes, thank you.
Retro Bush is out.
Yeah.
I don't mind a small, well manicured landing strip. Every now and then, if it's completely, and I'm talking like baby's ass bald, then I start. Where is that pedophilia line? I don't want to
Wow.
wander into that.
That's
thought
very
of it like
interesting.
that.
I never thought about that. You're a
Wow.
smart dude. Holy shit.
So if the landing strip is clean enough for the plane to go in smoothly, you're cool with that?
If the landing strip has, like I said, well manicured,
Yeah,
you can see both sides. It's not
Like blinking lights on both sides of that
I
landing?
just don't. I don't want. I don't want the shrubbery going off into unwanted areas on that as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, look
but-
what you found. Ooh.
I got to be all honest though. Hey, the older I get though, I don't think I can be as
I found it! I found
have
it!
you ever gone down there and she slowly brings down the underwear? Then
What is
retro? Just,
Absolutely.
You're like, whoa.
Wow,
Yeah, I'm
like
46,
it
of
pops
course.
out?
Do you like walk out or what do you do?
No, I muster through. I muster up the courage to get
He's a
through.
trooper. He's a trooper. Gotta give him an A.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah,
There you go.
I hear you.
There you
Listen,
go.
I couldn't
Super
say.
Bush.
I couldn't say. Well, if you have the same beliefs as Maven, does Manscaped could help you?
Absolutely.
The weed whacker.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I may have to, go in a room, close the door, and hang out with the weed whacker for a little while.
Yeah, I think you're a retro guy, aren't you?
I like 70s adult films, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
But
only
with that,
Ron
we're going to take a
Jeremy,
quick
Batman.
commercial break and we'll be
Anyway.
back with this wrestling icon, Maven.
We will see you in a drop kick second.
Drop kick. Welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, seen here out of Tin Mirrors Studios, where we've got the star of the show, Jimmy Pharaoh, and our special guest, Mr. Bob Cook. Bob, thank you for joining the show.
I appreciate you having me on. I would like to clarify, I am nobody's bitch, especially a guy named Dan and Benny, who I've never heard of until last week. However, for future reference, I can be bought.
Okay, well, that's very important. But more importantly, you heard Jimmy and I talking about Chris Benoit. What are your thoughts about today's wrestling fan defending a piece of shit like that?
I think they're a bunch of ignorant, overbearing, obnoxious, pig-faced bastards who only think of themselves and not the realities of life. Wrestling isn't real, so why is everything to them real when it comes to wrestling? Chris Benoit was an asshole. He was an idiot. He did what he did, and he did it knowing what he did. Because the reality of life is you cannot function as a professional wrestler with brain damage that they claim he had. You have to book your flights. You have to make your towns. You have to remember your spots, your scripts. You have to get to the gym. You have to watch your diet, something that Chris Benoit didn't miss a beat on. But when he went and killed his wife and kid, all of a sudden it's a concussion issue. No, it was a man and a wife who didn't get along one night, and it went to the next level, and it happens every damn day in this country. It's just that when the rich and famous do it, they can't comprehend it because they don't think they have the same problems as the rest of us. All I can say is if I would have done that to my wife 30 years ago, I would be out by now. But that's a whole nother story.
Well, why? I mean, I love your response, Bob, but you did hear some of the stories that these fans are starting to put up saying that there was a made the Chavo Guerrero. On Wikipedia, the death of Nancy was on there 24 hours before it actually happened. I mean, why? Again, you explained it very eloquently, but why, as even forget about Chris Benoit, why as a functioning group in today's United States do we feel it necessary to protect that people that we idolize and not call a spade a spade?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with how the media portrayed it. They portrayed it as a steroid thing and a brain damage thing. And that was only to appease the family because it takes away the responsibility. If my dad was sitting here today and they said, hey, your son killed somebody, but it was his brain damage, it was all those years of pro wrestling, he'd feel a little better about the situation. He'd still hate that his son is dead and his wife and kid are gone and his grandkid, but he would feel better about himself. So that was just a way to appease the family. It's like when someone dies in their sleep. They say, oh, Uncle Billy died in his sleep. He didn't feel a thing. Well, guess what? Uncle Billy woke up at 4 a.m. and had a massive heart attack and suffered for 2 hours. Well, your lazy asses were out at the bar drinking because he told you he wasn't feeling good and he went home early. But to make you feel better, he died in his sleep peacefully. Same thing.
Well, Bob, that's, you know what?
Sorry.
All right. No, I mean, so let's go a little deeper, then I'm going to let Jimmy take over. You're a wrestler. Your father is a wrestler, or your mother's a wrestler, whatever. Dark side of the ring, you get to see the other side, right? The children. You get to see Benoit's son, who's still alive, or you get to see a Sherry Martel's son, Chris Adams' son and daughter. What do you think about the kid? All right, this is a really tough question because I'm trying to unfocus. You know, I guess I'm part of normal society, and my father didn't rape, pillage, and murder, so it's hard for me to identify. So,
is that normal society today?
It may not be, Bob, and that may be the problem we're having right now. But I guess the question to you is, if you're a child of these wrestlers, because we'll just stick to wrestling at this point, how could you actively defend a Chris Adams who murdered his girlfriend by ODing her with drugs, tried to kill people, Chris Benoit who murdered his son, and let's even go on to even a little lighter thing where Sherry Martel put herself in front of her entire family just to become a wrestler?
I think a lot of times in situations like that, you do whatever you can to comfort yourself, whether it's living in denial, a public denial, where in reality you're like, oh, my dad was a real asshole. But I'm not going to fall into line and say Kevin Sullivan killed, Nancy Benoit. I'm going to go ahead and say it was TCE or whatever, CTE, whatever it was. You do things to comfort yourself, whether it's a public thing or a reality in your life. I mean, I don't know. I had a great childhood. Unfortunately, I wasn't molested. So if I ever do kill somebody, I can't blame it on my childhood. Damn it. Where's my parents to come back and molest me?
Here's a blown opportunity. Oi.
Exactly, like Michael Jackson. I wish Michael Jackson would have molested my kid when he was young. I'd be rich now. I'd have put him through therapy, but he'd have been over it by now.
Yeah.
Sorry, my kid's not.
Yeah. Stakes for everyone. Go ahead,
Exactly.
Mike.
There's a benefit there. Like Evel Knievel used to say, through every adversity, there is wait, let me figure it out here. Through every adversity, there is an equivalency to benefit if you just look for it. So, hey.
Yeah. There it is. From the guy who jumped Snake River Canyon.
Exactly. And I got a hat on right now, Evel Knievel.
So,
There
Bob,
you go.
Now that you're getting to Evel Knievel, I know you're a huge fan of him. How was Evel as a human being?
To me personally, because I was fortunate enough to be friends with him in the last 10 years of his life.
Both sides of it, from what you know.
One of the
and from you
greatest people I've
personally.
ever known in my life.
Nice.
I would never speak ill of him. I saw him treat other people in different ways, but a lot of times he did it jokingly, and they didn't know how to take his type of humor. And I also know there's a lot of people who he didn't treat well in his early days, but I base how I feel about people on how they treated me. Like, I hate Big Van Vader, and I'm sure there are people out there that like Big Van Vader because they had a better experience with him than I did. But just because he's dead, I can sit here and say he was one of the biggest pieces of shit assholes I ever met in my entire life, next to Sawyer.
All right, well, we're gonna get into that.
Sorry,
list.
I got carried away again.
No, we're gonna get into that list later on, but Jimmy's gonna kick us off. Jimmy did you know Wahoo McDaniel at all?
Yes, I did. Wahoo was very cool. I never got to wrestle him, thankfully, because I heard he was pretty stiff with those chops. But he was very good to us jobbers. I hate that term, jobber, but he was good to us TV guys. He looked out for us. I remember one time, I can go on a little story real quick about how Wahoo was to us guys. We had all got done wrestling, and the main event was, I don't remember who the main event was, but Mark Callis, who went on to become The Undertaker, was going to come in at the end of the night and attack the guy, and all of us guys had to go in the ring and break it up. But we didn't know that. We all got dressed, and they said, hey, you guys need to go back and get dressed out again because you're going to go save, not save. We got beat up by Undertaker, but go to the ring and pretend we're trying to save whoever he's beating up. And I just happened to say, are we going to get paid again? And they said, no, you're not. And Wahoo was standing there, and he went, bullshit, they're not. If they're going out to that ring again, they're getting paid again. And guess what was in our check? Double pay. Well, I got nothing bad to say about the great Wahoo McDaniel.
Nice. There you go, Mike. I've never heard a bad thing about Wahoo yet.
Well, I heard he was
And
stiff.
he's
So.
friends with Evel Knievel. He played golf with him in the 70s.
There you go. There it is. I got a strange question, Bob. Do you consider, because I just thought of this on the fly, so forgive me, but I find it interesting. Would you consider Evel Knievel an athlete?
Yes. Because
Nice.
he considered himself an athlete.
Cool.
And I consider him an athlete. He was the highest rated episode of Wide World of Sports ever. What did they show on Wide World of Sports? Athletes. October
There you go.
25th, 1975, 14 buses, Kings Island, Ohio. Highest rated episode ever. Record never broken. Got carried away, but you started to talk about Evil. Oh, wait, I did. Never mind.
Nice. Nice. No, I wonder about that. I mean, after all, that makes Earnhardt and the other racing greats in NASCAR, they're athletes too. Just
Well, I
wanted
don't
to
know
point
about
that
that.
out.
They just sit in a car and go in circles. I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, okay. Well, Evil was definitely being more athletic and definitely life-threatening circumstances for
He was
sure.
standing on the back of a Harley Davidson wearing a leather suit that cost weighed over 50 pounds going 125 miles an hour. That's a little more athletic event than standing there turning us. I just went to the store and I basically did the same thing that the NASCAR drivers do, but not as fast, okay?
You didn't get pulled over. Okay.
And I didn't get paid as much either.
Oh, boy.
It's basically the same thing, looking out a
the-
windshield, turning right or left.
The injustice of it all. You're underrated as a guy who goes to the supermarket in his Nova. There you go.
Yeah, well, it was actually a conversion van, but it's a cool one. It's got lights in it, video games, a TV,
Nice, nice. Tell us about your friendship with Fred Ottman, known as Tugboat. Are you currently hanging with him a lot? Are you living with him? I heard.
I'm actually in his man cave right now.
Okay.
Yes, I do live with Fred Ottman and his awesome wife, Sheila. I will readily and shamefully admit that I put myself in a bad situation. As a heterosexual man, providing you both are heterosexual, you should still
sir.
know this fact. What is the most powerful force in the universe?
Woman.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I was an idiot, and I fell for a woman who was my ex-wife. We've been separated for 10 years, and we got back together last year, and it was great for a little while. And certain parts of it were awesome.
Sure.
But then it went negative, and, things happened, and now I'm here. And Fred has rescued me, and I've known Fred for over 40 years. We started at the Great Malenko's Wrestling School back in the early 80s together, and we have been friends ever since. They're like family to me, and I love both of them greatly.
Beautiful, beautiful. So why don't you take us back to the beginning? Since we've already mentioned Tugboat, we'll get to him. But how does it all start for you in the world of professional wrestling?
I moved to Florida in 1975 from Michigan, and I met a kid named Dale Deibler, as I mentioned on that show last week. I don't remember those guys' names, but I mentioned on the show. I like to mention Dale's name because it makes me realize I haven't forgot everything in life at my age. But we were playing basketball one day, and he said he wanted to go home, and I said, why? It's still light out. And I want to go home and watch wrestling. And I said, why do you want to go watch that crap? I was only like 11 years old. I heard it was fake. The dumb things people think. And I went and I watched it and I fell in love with it instantly. Terry Funk was calling the action. Gordon Solie was calling. I've told this story too many times. I'm even confusing myself. But Terry Funk was going crazy. Gordon Solie was calling the action. And I got a Terry Funk shirt on right now. I love
There you
Terry
go.
Funk.
There you go.
Representing my two favorite humans ever to step foot on the earth. And no, Jesus Christ isn't the one. I'm saying Terry Funk and Evel Knievel, my two favorite humans ever to step on earth. And that's what I'm doing. But I started watching that and I wanted to become a wrestler. And I just got lucky because, I didn't have all the secrets of today. Didn't have a wrestling school on every corner. Every time tax season come around, people didn't buy a ring and start a wrestling school like they do now. But I was coming out of the Armory in Tampa where they held championship wrestling from Florida every Tuesday night for 30 years. That's where Dory Funk Jr. won the world title, where Dusty Rhodes won the world title. And there was a flyer on my car that said, become a professional wrestler. It was for the Great Malenko's Wrestling Academy, and I started the next week. And here I am today with a bad neck, a bad back. Thanks to Matt Bourne, that bad neck, that son of a bitch. Been hurting for years. He's another asshole I forgot to mention. Sorry.
No, all good. All good. The Malenko training facility obviously has been known as one of the greatest places to be of all. Do you consider that you basically did a Babe Ruth there and put one out of Yankee Stadium by falling into that circumstance? How does that even happen?
Well, I just got lucky out of that Armory, and I didn't go to the Armory every week. What I had done, I had moved to Tampa with a friend of mine after I graduated from high school with the idea of becoming a wrestler without any idea how to do it, because that's where they taped championship wrestling from Florida every Wednesday morning. And I went there first, and I asked an old wrestler named Gordon Nelson, and I said, how do you become a wrestler? He goes, well, you got to be in really good shape, kid, and you come in for a tryout, which in those days meant, thankfully I didn't know that because I didn't find out firsthand. I found out about it years later. But in those days, it meant that you would go in there and beat the crap out of you and hopefully discourage you, and you wouldn't come back. And I just got lucky coming out of that Armory that day. And that flyer was on my car, and the rest is history. Obviously, I wasn't a Babe Ruth from the school because the Babe Ruth would have been successful. But I had the greatest time of my life. I love the great Malenko like a father. He is a mentor. He is a friend. He is somebody I miss more than anybody that I've known in my life.
Bob, why do you think that you didn't make it? Is that just something that happens by fate? It's like, for some reason, some guys are favored over others when they. Why do you think that you didn't get to be in the level of Wahoo or somebody like that? How does that not happen, or how does that happen?
A lot of it is luck. A lot of it is being in the right place at the right time. Like a Johnny B. Bad, he got lucky that. By the way, I got him in the business and him in WCW. He won't admit it, but I did. But it's that day he went there and Dusty saw him and he saw something in him and gave him that gimmick, regardless of whether it was silly or not. He made the best of it and made a name for himself. And that's fantastic. And for me, a lot of it was lacking the effort needed outside the ring to become more famous in the ring. You know what I mean? Like, I was okay in the ring, but outside the ring, I was very lazy when it came to going to the gym as much as I should have. I actually work out more now than I did when I was younger, and that's pathetic. Cut that part out of the show. Cut it out. But really, and I had chances. I had opportunities. I had different spots where it was a Florida Tag Team Champion with Jerry Gray as the Mighty Yankees, the original championship wrestler from Florida, and I had different opportunities. And Dusty gave me 4 opportunities in WCW to do more, but guess who screwed him up? Chris Benoit, because it's Blame Chris Benoit Day. No, I screwed him. I take full responsibility for it. Unlike Chris Benoit and his doctors, he had a brain concussion stuff.
Got a point.
No, I blame myself for failing every time Dusty gave me an opportunity. Lucky I didn't become an alcoholic and a drug addict, but that's only because I don't have good connections.
Is my mic on?
Mike, are you good? I'm wondering if Mike is okay over there.
I'm good. I'm just watching.
Oh, okay. He's just watching. Well, Mike, it's time for you to ask a question. But I'll do it if you want me to. It's all up to you, big guy.
Did I actually have a question?
Yes, I'm addicted to Mountain Dew.
Bob, you should not be drinking soda right now. You know that, right?
What is he drinking?
Why shouldn't I be drinking? What should I be drinking? A Budweiser or something?
Yeah.
What?
What I should be doing is
Coors
shooting
Light.
heroin.
You should
because
be
it looks
drinking
like a really
Coors
good
Light
drug.
like
I just
me.
haven't tried it yet.
Jesus God.
It looks so appealing. You stick a needle in your arm, next thing, and sign me up. I'm going to wait till I get in a nursing home, and I'm going to try every drug in America. That's what
Oh
I'm
my
gonna do.
God. They're going to constantly put you out.
They
into
got
the
a number for a
parking lot
nursing home that'll take a 60-year-old right now?
They're going to send you to quiet time at least 5 times a day.
That's right. Just give me a remote control with batteries, ice cold Mountain Dew, and I'm fine.
Oh, there you go.
That's
Keep
basically
it
what I have
simple.
now.
So, Bob, Jimmy and I always speak about wrestling being this like small microcosm of the real world, and like he opened up talking about your relationship with Fred Ottman. So it must be a good thing when you find a lifelong buddy like that who, when I don't want to call you down on your luck, but you have a problem, he's like, hey, man, let me help you out. How did you end up becoming such good friends with Fred Ottman, especially since he was up here in the Northeast for the majority of his career, right?
Well, a lot of it, I was friends with him in the beginning. Then he went on to become a success. I went on to become, whatever I was. And then Facebook is really what brought us back together. Everybody just connected through Facebook. Heck, I'm still friends with the girl that took my virginity. That's how weird Facebook is. But
Wait a minute, hold on. What does she look like now?
she looks okay. I actually invited her to a show that I did. I did a show 3 weeks ago where I teamed up with the legendary George South against the legendary Tommy Rich and the legendary Ricky Morton. And I invited her to the show, and she didn't get the message until it was too late. But anyways,
Wait a
she
minute.
still looks
All right,
okay.
Bob, be honest here. You looking for a hookup here? Or what's going on there?
No, she was in the area, honestly. She was in the area, and I just wanted a hug.
Is she married or single?
Oh,
I don't know. I don't pay attention to those things. Because if I say,
Yeah,
"Do
sure
wanna
you
come
don't,
to the
Bob."
show?" But no, if I say, "Do you want to come to the show?" and they say yes, well, it's not my problem if they're married or not.
Bob, it's in the About Info icon on your Facebook page. You can find out if she's married.
I know you can. I just said I don't pay attention.
Yeah, because you're just this honest guy, Bob.
It's like
You
if
have no
if I like
intention at all.
Right.
I
It's
am-
like if I like the title of a movie, I don't read the description. I just play it.
Hey, he keeps it simple, Mike. He'll probably outlive both you and me.
But wait a minute, I gotta try to ask him this question then, Jimmy. So, Bob,
Yeah.
we're close. I imagine, Bob. How old are you? Can I ask your age?
60.
So Jimmy and I'm 50. I'm going to be 57. Jimmy's going to be 57 in September, right, Jim?
October, you
October.
bonehead.
I would
Here-
say congratulations, but there's no congratulations needed.
Well, we appreciate that. Not really, but
I don't look a day over 55. What are you talking about? Anyway.
but here's my question, and I'm just going to explain myself to you first, Bob, and tell me if maybe something wrong with me. But
Oh,
as
boy.
I've gotten older, I don't really like looking at older women. I find them to be disgusting.
Hey,
So
what is wrong with him? Bob, correct him quickly. What is
No, well,
going on?
for me, it is I have the ability to look at someone and see them for what they are. If they look good, they look good. I don't care if they're 70.
wow,
I
There you
thought
go.
what a
one of my
nice.
best friends' girlfriend, 72, and she
How
looks amazing. I'm not
nice!
kidding.
What
One of
the-
my best friends, his girlfriend is 72, and she's amazing. She says she owns a Pilates studio, and she's in amazing shape. She's beautiful. I always loved Raquel Welch, and I would go to her grave right now, dig it up, and still think she looked good.
Wow,
All right,
look
we're
at
getting
that.
a little crazy. Getting a little crazy here. Getting a little crazy. We're gonna pull that one back a little bit.
Now, don't get me wrong. I like looking at young women, too. And if you could find any young women out there that have a fetish for morbidly obese 60-year-olds, call.
Well, no, Bob,
Cook
I've
on
got
Facebook.
first dibs on that. I've got
Bob
first
Cook on
dibs of
Facebook.
young women that like fat old men. I've got
I got
that.
nothing to do. I got no dibs in this. You guys have fun. I'll be right
I
back.
belong on
the
Facebook
hell?
dating, and all the women that like me,
Oh.
I got taste. That's why I'm single.
Bob, that's when you set yourself up to want to like just kind of put it to an end, right? You're like, all right, I'm putting myself on Facebook dating. Whoa, I got some hits, and you go look,
Yeah.
and you're like, bull.
Yeah.
She looks like-
Swipe left. And then if she actually looks good, I think she got mental problems, and I swipe left anyway.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
That's great.
Wow.
I can tell you about a girl in Atlanta that looked good once, and she never mind.
What? You got to tell the story now. You're
No,
in.
it's nothing.
he's
It's nothing. This was a young girl that looked really good, and she, for some reason, liked me. I didn't argue with her.
There you go.
I don't
So
argue
you-
about those think
You,
it's weird.
you stepped on the glasses at the bar. That's all.
Right. That's why you see my glasses are broken. I broke them at that show 3 weeks ago, and I'm so lazy. I'm like the king of procrastination, and I haven't gone and gotten them fixed yet.
Oh
Bob,
my
did you ever
God.
go out on a date and the woman came not as advertised?
No, because I got married very young, and I honestly, other than that, well, a few times here and there, but I was fairly faithful. Is my wife watching this? Oh, well, I was more faithful than you, honey. Than you were, honey. So there you go.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Ugh.
So, Bob, you mentioned it before, and now we have to know. We're going to name a hit list of guys. Tell me what you think, what they meant to you, and if you liked them, and if you didn't, whatever stories you got of them. So you
Hey,
opened
Mike,
up. You opened
can
up
I-
with what's that, Jimmy?
Can I jump the line, or if we're going to start, I have to ask him a little more detail, and I know you're going to want it anyway. Can we start with Matt Bourne?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Well,
What's your thoughts
He was
on
an
Matt
asshole.
Bourne?
point blank, he was an asshole. I mean, he wasn't nice to anybody as far as the guys, the TV guys again. He dropped me on my head with a, what do they call that, German suplex back in 1993 when he was Big Josh, neck and head and neck. And it's hurt ever since. He just wasn't a nice guy. But then again, he was, cousins of Buzz Sawyer, who was another one of the biggest jerks. I could tell you a
Right.
story about Buzz Sawyer when he died. A former WCW champion came in the dressing room when the news of Buzz Sawyer's death came down. And they said, I won't say his name. But he was the first black WCW champion. Anyways,
Damn.
I said,
Damn.
the person said, did you hear Buzz died? He goes, oh, really? Where's his grave? I have to take a piss.
There you go.
So that should
All
give
right.
you an idea how much Buzz was loved.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
was
that could-
why was Buzz hated so much though, Bob?
Well, because he was a jerk and he was just a jerk. I mean, do you see what he did? Like he ripped people off. The Undertaker ripped the Undertaker off. Money claimed he was going to train him.
Right.
Took his money and ran. He did that with a lot of people, but he was just a jerk. Like I remember one time I was walking down the hall and he goes, "You know where Ole is?" And I go, "I think he's around the corner." He's like, "You think or you know?" And he just walked away. I was like, "Oh."
Right.
I think Ole's the only one that liked him.
He had a douchebag aura. I got you.
You know what's interesting,
Not even
Bob?
an aura; it was a reality.
Was there a lot of bullying in the old WCW locker room?
Not from my perspective. No, I was always treated well for the most part. I mean, I can't think of anybody. No one ever ribbed me. Well, Terry Taylor ribbed me once, but it was a good-natured rib. But yeah, I never saw that. I'm sure it happened. I can't say it did or didn't because I never saw it. I can only tell you what I saw. And there was also no pecking order. You know, it wasn't like the jobbers dress here and the jobbers dress there. I dressed with Terry Funk anytime he was on the show because I love Terry Funk, and I'd sit there like a lapdog, listening to his stories, listening to his advice, asking him questions. You know, like, should I lace my boots this way? You know, whatever you'd ask Terry, and he would be willing to give it the advice and help you. But there was never like a dress here, dress there. At least from my perspective. Although I did, obviously, you would dress with the people you traveled with. You know, I had guys that did TV like I did, and we traveled together. So they're your friends. That's who you hang out with.
There you go. Who's next,
But there
Mike?
I'm sorry.
You got Big Van Vader.
Well, another guy, just a complete asshole. Absolute asshole. He used to hurt guys every single week in WCW. He was told constantly to stop. The reason they put Harley Race with him originally was because he was afraid of Harley. And he thought that he would be able to control him a little bit. Because Vader used to get in trouble, get thrown out of bars. And I think one time he got in trouble for frog splashing a desk in the office of one of the hotels or something. But he used to always hurt guys week after week. And I mean, one guy, a friend of mine that used to come to the shows with me, he had to work Vader, and I was sitting there messing with him. Well, boy, so you want us to call your girlfriend, tell you what hospital you're going to be in? You know, I was just messing with him. And Vader comes in, and he's like, yeah, we're going to do this, do that. Don't worry about it, kid. We'll be all right. Gets in the ring, breaks his nose with the first move, punches him. You can see it on the YouTubes. That's what they call it, yeah. He punches, blood everywhere. After the match, he comes back to the dressing room. The kid's laying on the floor, with the blood. And Vader comes in. He goes, hey, you'll be all right. Man up, kid. And he just walks away. Hey, Vader, wrestling is a work. The art of wrestling is to make it look real without being real, look stiff without being stiff. Any idiot can punch somebody in the face. I mean, there's no art in that. Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk punched each other at Mid-South Coliseum, 11,533 people going crazy. You know what they're doing? They're working. not hurting each other at all, but the people believe. That's the art of wrestling. Wrestling fans, you idiots that think that should be stiff, you strong style marks.
Perfect.
Has anyone
Carried
ever
away.
called?
And now, of course, I'm going to say, please go to Pro Wrestling Tees and buy Bob Cook's T-shirt.
There you go.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
Oh, but I was just kidding. Wrestling fans are wonderful human beings. They couldn't pass an IQ
recovery.
test, but they're wonderful human beings.
Nice recovery. There you go.
No one
Does
ever?
an IQ test have to have their name written at the top? Because if it does, then they're screwed.
You're too. All right. How about Terry Runnels?
She was awesome. I love Terry. She was always cool to me. And if I interact with her once in a while on Facebook or she used to, sorry, I stumble over my own words. But she used to do Twitch a lot, and I used to like watch her show, and she'd always be very nice to me. No, nothing bad to say about her.
I'm not saying to say anything bad. I'm just like, we had Terry in studio, and me and Jimmy both loved Terry. She was wonderful.
Yeah, she's great. Well, you said you give my opinion, so I know most fans like to hear the bad stuff.
No, we're not
No,
reaching for that.
she
We
was
just want to know
awesome.
your honest opinion. So I'm going to ask you
Yeah.
about Terry.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Terry's got a weird reputation, right? A lot of people feel that she was a gold digger and she slept around a lot. I know you were in WCW when she was there. Was that the rumors going around there? And what did you hear about her issues with Dusty Rhodes?
I don't remember hearing any of that stuff. It could just be because I blocked it out. But I never got into the drama. When I was a pro wrestler, which, by the way, is why I don't like the term jobber. I don't like the term enhancement talent. I like the term pro wrestler. You know why? Because that's what I was. There's different levels of pro wrestler, but that's what we all are. Anyways, I avoided the drama. I used professional wrestling to escape the reality of life. When I got in my car to go to a show, I didn't have marital problems. I didn't have a kid talking back to me. I didn't have bills to pay. I had nothing but wrestling on my mind and having a good time on the road. That's what I used wrestling as my escape. So I didn't fall into the metamorphosis of all the drama around me, if there was drama around me. I just don't recall it because I didn't buy into it or whatever. I don't know. I lived in my own world with my friends, if that makes any sense.
No.
Makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Yep.
You mentioned wrestling fans. As when you were wrestling, and even now as, a wrestler, do you respect the fans, or do you just feel like, oh, these guys are a bunch of nerdy jackasses?
In reality, I do respect the fans, and I do love the fans. I like to get on some of the fans' cases because the majority of the fans are fans. They watch the show. They enjoy the show. And when the show's over, they watch something else and they enjoy that. It's the fans that watch something and nitpick every little aspect. It's like Jade Cargill. I thought she did great in her match last weekend. Yeah, there was a few spots that got screwed up. Looked like she might have been a little blown up, lost, blah, 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 blah. It happens. But people got on her like she doesn't belong there, blah, 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 blah. Go to hell, is what I said. Go to hell. Those are the I hate the nitpickers. I watch the show to enjoy it. Even today, I watch the show to enjoy it. Now, if I see something that's blatantly ridiculous, I might make a comment on Facebook. Well, that was ridiculous. But then I'll delete it later because I get tired of the argument from other people. I get tired of my own arguments. But for the majority of the fans are fans. Like, you go to Twitter, watch a WWE post on Twitter, and say there's 500,000 people who saw the post and only 5,000 that commented, and only half of those are negative. That's basically your base of the fan around the world. It's almost like how the ratings are figured out, right? Like, so many people watch it in this home, that home, that's based on the whole country. It's the same thing. Your average wrestling fan is a legitimate fan and takes it for what it is, the greatest form of entertainment on earth when it's done correctly, the most pathetic excuse for entertainment when it's done wrong. But that's a whole nother story. So, yes, the reality is that Bob Cook likes the fans. It's the ones that don't seem to like wrestling that continue to watch it that I hate.
Bob,
I don't watch anything I don't like. I don't watch sports. I don't like football. I don't like baseball. I don't watch boxing. Guess what I don't do? I don't go online and complain about it because I don't watch it.
Bob, do you have a problem with pro wrestling tribalism, right? So I know you said you don't watch sports, but we're a Yankee fan. We hate the Red Sox, right? You're a WWE guy, you hate AEW. You're an AEW guy, you hate the WWE. Do you find anything wrong with that in professional wrestling?
I think it's ridiculous. I mean, obviously you have the right to like and dislike what you want and think what's your favorite, but to be a fan of AEW and just hate everything that WWE does, even
Right.
though it's obviously worthy of hate, and vice versa. Those are the kind of people I do hate. But then again, every sport is like that. You just mentioned that. Like, yeah, I'm not this fan of that. Like, I have people a friend of mine that used to watch football and say, oh, I can't wait till the Dolphins. This year's going to be it. 2 weeks into the season, they're losing. I don't care no more. So you're not really a fan of the sport. You just want your team to win for whatever bizarre reason, as if though that matters in your life. All that means is you're going to buy their merchandise because you're an idiot and got caught up on the hype. But so it's better off that they don't win that year because you save yourself some money. I mean, who wants to waste money on a stupid football jersey? Not me, I'll tell you that.
Hey, Jimmy, I think Bob just called you an idiot.
What? Uh-oh.
First of
well, you
all,
have me on the show, so you can't be the smartest guy in the.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have my shortcomings. But first of all, Mike, I'll have you know that I've
Is
always
that a
been
short
loyal.
joke? How tall are you?
I've always been loyal to my teams. You know that. I don't jump off as quickly as you do. Preseason, you're like, it's over. So come on, man. What the hell? Cut me a break, will
Bob, I got to ask you about Buff Bagwell. Thoughts on Buff?
I love Buff. Always super cool to me. Although we might have disagreement on who had his tryout match, but I can remember at the Sportatorium, I'm going to go back to Florida, the center stage in Atlanta, go in the dressing room with Magnum TA and Mike Graham, and Buff is in there, and they told me this is Buff's tryout match. And we went out, it was a dark match. And we went in the ring, we had a great match. Even after the match, Arn Anderson said, I'm still in that finish. And I think he did too, actually. But anyways, and he got his job. Not saying I got him his job, but I'm saying that it was his tryout match, and I'm getting lost again. But Buff was always cool to me. He was easy to work with. He never had an ego. In my presence, I don't know what he did outside of me, but in my world, he was always super cool to me and easy to work with. Always put my punch over like $1 million. Between him and Steamboat, they sold my punch probably better than anybody.
And by the way,
his personal problems are his personal problems, and I really have no comment on those because I got my own personal problems. That's what I'm doing here at Fred's house.
hey, you got to give yourself a lot of credit, man, because to be known as having the best punch in professional wrestling is a pretty big accomplishment, right?
Well, I don't know if I'm known for that, because if I was known for that, it'd probably get asked to some of these conventions, and I could sign a sloppy autograph and fake a smile for some smelly fans. But no, I don't even get asked.
He loves the fans.
I do love the fans.
What I love about you, Bob, too, is I don't really love you, but you know what I mean.
Oh,
You love wrestling. Who's on your Mount Rushmore of professional wrestlers?
oh, if I was like, my personal Mount Rushmore would be Terry Funk, number one, Harley Race, Jerry Lawler, and Superstar Billy Graham. But on the real Mount Rushmore of wrestling, got to have Gorgeous George at number one always. And I'm not talking about the overbearing. I went back there again. The prostitute. What was she? A stripper? I don't know. But we're not talking about her. We're talking about the real Gorgeous George.
Right.
Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, and probably Bruno, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
So
one.
I got to challenge you on this.
Not a fan of Bruno, but
Why not a fan of Bruno?
well, he was just boring. He used to really rag on Hulk Hogan. He's not a very good wrestler. Well, geez, Bruno, I saw you have a few matches, and guess what it entailed? A headlock, a knee, a kick, a punch. That's about it, Bruno, and not even good bumps. So you don't be throwing stones when you have a glass house.
Wow. Jimmy, I
Yeah,
like it. I
nice.
like it. That's kind of.
Hey,
But then
he
wait a minute.
shouldn't-
I've got to go on to your Mount Rushmore though, because people who know me, I never got the Harley Race thing. Never understood it.
I did.
Harley Race was the greatest bump taker in the history of wrestling, the most perfect bump taker of all time. And he was a cool guy to me personally, so that always helps. No, but I
So it's all about you, Bob, right? It's all about who.
Of course it is. Oh, it should be all about me. It's your show. It's all about your show. But when it comes to me, it's all about.
You know
Well, you
what?
did ask me my personal Mount Rushmore. Of course, it's about me.
And by the way, Harley Race is not to be a mark, but I will be. The Harley Race post-bump wince that he would make in his face, and he would take his arm and put it behind his back at the point where he took the blow.
Right.
You're right. He was great.
We're
at
not
that.
talking about the Harley Race and that absolutely god-awful move of the Iron Claw either. We're talking about
Right.
the real Harley Race.
Right.
That's
I
what
got
stretched that guy as a skeleton today.
I
All
got
right,
you.
wait a minute.
That's not funny.
Jimmy, now I got to ask him. I want your opinion because it comes out on Max today. I saw it in the theaters. First movie I saw in 5 years. What were
Horrible.
your thoughts on the movie The Iron Claw?
I hated it. Every aspect of
Thank
it.
you.
The trailer
Thank
made me
you.
think.
Thank you.
Yeah. The trailer made me think it was going to be the greatest wrestling movie of all time.
Right.
5 minutes in, I'm thinking, Jesus, they're portraying Kevin's wife as a ring rat. She's having sex with him the first day she met him. They forgot Chris. Here's the reality. The stupid director said, we left Chris's story out because we didn't think the movie could handle any more sadness. Well, if you can't tell the movie as it actually happened, then don't make the damn movie.
Well,
if
Bob,
you know the history, then you're not going to be any more sad. But, it doesn't make any sense.
But, Bob, let me ask you this. This is what I thought. Because that's exactly what he said. It was like they couldn't handle it anymore. There had to be the story itself was good enough. You should have had very little wrestling, and the entire Von Erich story could have carried that movie. The Harley race. I mean, what's the point of having a 5-minute Ric Flair and Harley race interview in there? It was like, why are you doing this? The matches were way too long. It just was. This had the opportunity, like you said, to be the greatest wrestling movie of all time, and they dropped it in every which way possible.
Yeah, and I hated the fact that the story was just told so wrong. I mean, there's so many things left out, so many things that were told incorrectly, wrong timelines. But leaving Chris out was a slap in the face to the entire legacy. He was a 21-year-old kid who took his own life for a specific reason because he loved wrestling and he couldn't follow in his brother's footsteps. If that's not enough to put him in the movie, then his whole life meant nothing in the eyes of this idiot director who, if I ever saw him, I'd say, you're an idiot director, whatever your name was. You should never be allowed to make a movie again, you piece of garbage. And if you're sitting there crying in your cereal, wondering why you didn't get no awards, well, the reality is your movie sucked, sir.
And by the way, I'll be watching it on Max tomorrow anyway.
Mike,
I'm an idiot that bought it on Vudu.
Mike, I gotta throw this in. It's very ironic too, because a famous director named Oliver Stone made a film about, Jim Morrison called The Doors back in '91, I do believe, starring Val Kilmer. Ray Manzarek went to see the film, and Ray Manzarek lived the life of The Doors, being Jim's best friend. And when he walked out of the theater, he turned to his wife and he said, who was that asshole I just watched for 2 hours? He goes, that's not Jim. So it really depends. Wow. Yeah, no, he was really sickened by it. He was like, that wasn't Jim at all.
That's the problem. Hollywood's biggest problem is that they can have a masterpiece at their hands, but they have to manipulate when a story is so good. You shouldn't have, if anything, you should tone it down, not manipulate it into your own world, whatever you think that world should be.
Well, that's the difference between directors. You know what I'm saying, Bob? Because this guy was a bum director that did the Iron Claw, but Oliver Stone was able to spin this yarn and still pull off a great film, even though the personal connections, like the Ray Manzareks, were like, this is terrible, but the public loved it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same with, like, Mel Gibson's company came out with a movie called Evel Knievel that starred a guy named George Eads around 2004 or 5. And I was literally throwing stuff at my TV for how wrong everything was and all the stuff that was just not right, basically. I just said...
I don't even remember it. Mike, do you remember that?
It was a TNT movie. It came on after Robbie Knievel did a jump over on the Intrepid.
Well, let me just say something. The Doors movie, Jimmy, obviously you're a huge Jim Morrison guy, and you know better than me. But as a fan of the Doors and Jim Morrison, I really thought that movie was well done. I enjoyed it.
Mike, I agree with you. I think it's a great film. I was shocked when I saw Manzarek's opinion on it, but I wasn't that shocked because Ray lived that life. So, look, movies are always an extension and I'm searching for the right word, an exaggeration of reality. And if you can do it well, like Oliver Stone has proven over and over again, he can take something exaggerated and still have it be a great film. Well, we all eat it up. We love The Dirt on Netflix about Motley Crue, right?
Right.
I've heard multiple, accounts from guys who were around that scene. It's a bunch of nonsense, but it was a good film. Look, a good film's a good film. The bottom line is Iron Claw was not.
Listen, when it goes to the Iron Claw, what a mark I am for the Von Erichs, right? I mean, it's an iconic family.
I wrestled Kerry Von Erich.
I was going to ask you about Kerry. First of all, a lot of people thought the Kerry Von Erich actor was miscasted, and I tried to explain to people that you can't have a huge wrestler play Kerry Von Erich and have Zac Efron play Kevin because the size difference is so different. You had to keep them within, a certain size limit. But I will say this. Kerry Von Erich, to me, and I think to many people, is so iconic that they really underplayed that role in that movie. I thought they could have did a much better job on Kerry.
Well, yeah, I mean, the kid who played him is a good actor. I mean, I used to love the show Shameless. Shameless. I'm sorry, Shameless. Did I say Shameless? Shameless on Showtime. But when Kerry was like 6'3" or 4, I mean, you got a kid who's like 5'8" playing him. That's a little ridiculous. You'd think you could maybe do a little bit more casting calls. There's got to be someone out there that could fit the bill for that. But what I hated about that movie is so much of it was just like they made Kerry. Like he supposedly started training because the Olympics were boycotted. Well, here's a reality check. He was already wrestling by then. He already had a match with Harley Race before the Olympics were boycotted. I mean, it was just so. And then he won the title from Flair at Texas Stadium, and they showed Kerry's mom sitting at home watching it on TV as if it was happening live, and the ghost of David was.
Bob,
sitting
I
on
don't
the
want to
steps.
interrupt you on that, but you're 100% right. You show some shitty matches against Kevin and Harley Race and the Freebirds against the Von Erichs. But the match you don't show is the time when Kerry wins the belt against Flair. That's not the match that you show.
Right. And
it's
then
like,
you have
what are
him
you
going
doing?
and then you have him going to the ring with black boots on, and then when you show the real footage, he's wearing white boots. Well, that wouldn't be too hard to make right, now would it? But they had his mom sitting home watching it on TV as if it was happening live, and the ghost of David was sitting on the steps behind her as some kind of special moment. When reality was she was there at the stadium live watching the show. She gave Kerry a hug after he won the title. How hard is that to do? And in the reality also, she had totally gray hair at that time, but the girl in the movie, brown hair. I mean, these are real things that you can look up easily on YouTube. You know the history. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason for Hollywood to screw it up, but they did. And that's what I say to Hollywood. The old Stone Cold salute.
The greatest crowning achievement in the history of the family, as like Cody Rhodes finishing the story. On paper, it's the greatest thing the family ever accomplished was what happened in Texas that day.
Right.
And they blow it.
And then after Kevin wins the title, Kerry wins the title, he goes off on his motorcycle ride and he wakes up with no foot. I mean, what the hell is that? That didn't happen. That was like 2 years later. I mean,
right.
That was insane. And then they made it. What was it? Like after one person died, that's when Mike started training, which also wasn't true. It just drove me insane.
But you know what? I don't think a movie has to be exact. But the thing is, that story was so built to be very emotional, and they just dropped the ball. But
that's what I was saying. The movie lacked everything. It lacked passion, heart, emotion. Every death was glossed over as meaningless. And at the end, where supposedly Kerry got in a fight with Kevin in the front yard and punched his dad, and it's insane. He didn't shoot himself in the front yard. I mean, I get it. You could say it shouldn't be accurate, but it's a biography. What does a biography mean? It's a story of a person's life.
This film might be worse than 350 days. What do you think, Mike?
I hate that guy.
Nothing is worse than 350 days.
Wait a minute. Wait, what was that, Bob?
I hate that guy, Evan Ginsberg, the most opinionated, pompous ass in the world. He hates everything about today's wrestling, and he can't find any good. And he's like Jim Cornette, even though I think Jim Cornette is just a shtick because he makes money off the marks that buy into everything he says, like a cult.
But Bob, you didn't know that Evan
Cornette
Ginsberg was the associate producer for
Jim
The Wrestler?
Jones?
Bob,
yeah.
if I asked this to many wrestlers, I'm going to ask you. If Evan Ginsberg was not the associate producer of The Wrestler, would it still have been successful?
Oh, well, why wouldn't it have been? Was it? I like the Wrestler movie, but was it really successful?
Oh, to me, it's one of my top 5 greatest movies.
Yeah, I like it.
We can thank Mickey Rourke for that, guys.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
My favorite wrestling movie of all time is Paradise Alley, starring the legendary Sylvester Stallone and Terry Funk.
Hey, so I'm going to tell you right now, Bob, I have that on DVD. It's almost impossible to find that movie anywhere.
What, Paradise Alley?
Very hard, very hard.
What are you, crazy? You can own it on HD now. You can get HD Blu-ray.
Yeah, I'm not
what
buying shit. I
what
got
are you,
no
nuts?
time for that.
I got it on VHS. I got it on DVD. I got it on Blu-ray, and I own it on Amazon Prime in HD.
Bob, we're going down so many rabbit holes in this interview. It's fucking crazy. All right, Brett Sawyer. What's your problem with Brett Sawyer?
I never had a problem with Brett Sawyer back in the day. We always had good matches. He was always nice to me, but for some reason he went off the rails later in life. The last time I interacted with Brett, he sent me a picture of himself shoot me a bird, and he said, and through a Facebook Messenger, he's like, "Well, fuck you, Bob." And I was like, "Yeah, well, fuck you too, Brett." And that's the last I ever heard from him. And then I heard he was dead, and I went, "Well, yeah, where's his grave? So I could take a piss."
All right, Bob, I got to tell you. So
All
Dan
right.
and Benny are on our channel. We've got all these different shows on the channel, and I caught you on Dan and Benny, which I thought was a really good interview, minus the technical issues.
Yeah.
But
They
listen,
should know how to run a show if they're going to have a show. I mean, it's called a show. If you have a show, learn how to run it. That's what I say.
listen, I got to be honest with you, and you've been really great on this interview, but you were really nasty to them, dude. You were not a very nice guy.
I probably got a text from my ex-wife asking me something like, "Are you going to pay for the internet still?" I left there 4 months ago. Anyways, maybe that's why I was so mad. I don't know. I don't even. I'll be completely honest with you. Other than the technical problems, I don't remember anything I said on that show. That's how important it was to me.
Wow, that's really not nice, Bob.
Well, you said I wasn't nice, so I'm just trying to play along.
I don't think you're playing.
I'm a team player.
Oh my God!
I could be the nicest guy in the world or the worst person you ever met. So it's up to you.
What a guy!
Like I said, I can be bought. I don't like president.
Oh,
I don't
boy.
like politics, but I'll support Biden for money. I'll support Trump for money. I'll support Trump's wife for more money. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Wow. I
See,
don't know,
he's not
Mike. What do you do with
and he's
that?
not supporting her anymore.
Now, Bob,
Everybody
I got to ask you this.
Everybody needs a hug.
You are quite. It's amazing how so many of you guys are such great talkers. I don't know if Jimmy asked you this, but how come that your career ended up being so shitty then?
What? Yeah, that's real funny. I know you're just trying to get me started, which isn't easy to do unless you're being serious.
No, I'm not. I don't mean shitty like your career was shitty. I'm sorry. Why do you think your career wasn't better?
Well, I think I answered it earlier if you were paying attention, because I didn't put the effort in that I should have on the outside of the ring. No, I'm being honest. I loved wrestling. I loved my time in wrestling. I loved most of the people in wrestling. I think we've documented the ones I didn't. Most of the people, look, when people like Brian Blair, Steve Kern, Kevin Sullivan tell me to my face that I was a good wrestler and that they love me, that means more to me than anything else in anyone else's opinion, including yours, not to be disrespectful, but that means more to me than anything. And my career may not have been great from the outside, but it was the best time of my life. And how many people at 60 years old can look back on their lives and consider the best times of their lives? Very few have a list of best times of their lives.
That's a great comment, dude. And I got to be honest with you. It's like you got to live your dream. And I guess my point was you're such a fucking good talker. And to me, it's not all about the wrestling. It's about everything else. And it's like you're such a good talker. I'm just amazed that your career wasn't better. That's all.
Well, you know what a lot of it was? And I had opportunities. Like I was the mass superstar for a company here in Florida called Suncoast Pro. I'm not in Florida anymore. I'm sorry. See, there's that concussion thing. I'll be with you soon, Chris. But,
great. Oh,
I'm
my
surprised
God.
he's not on your Mount Rushmore.
My wife's not here, so we're not going to be leaving bodies behind now. But
wow. We got Chris Benoit, Chris Adams.
I had a few concussions, and that's why I'm addicted to Mountain Dew now, folks. I blame it on the concussions. But I had opportunities, like I said, and the great Malenko asked me to be the mass superstar as part of a show here I did it again, in Florida called Suncoast Pro Wrestling. And I got to talk a lot, and I got to admit I was pretty good at it.
Were you shy behind the scenes? Look, some guys get to where they get because they're good at kissing ass. Was that something you weren't good at, or when you look back on it, do you think maybe you could have enhanced those ass kissing skills?
I wish I was a better ass kisser. I'm actually a very shy person. Once I get to know somebody and around my circle of friends, I open up. Okay. But meeting new people, I hate to meet new people because let's face it, most people are assholes. But I hate to. let's face it. You're saying that I wasn't nice to Dan and Benny or whatever their names were. It's like Ben and Jerry or something. Except Ben and Jerry actually had a purpose of mine.
Oh,
to feed the morbidly obese and diabetes. But that's a purpose. Something.
Mikey's mean. He's kind of mean. I don't know.
Bob, I've got a comment from a fan out there. Tom Jones says, Bob made Joe Turco look like Carl Gotch. What does that mean?
What?
Tom Jones. That was that jobber in Texas, wasn't he? Wrestled for the Sheik.
Oh, by the
Tom
way,
Jones, the actor.
I have
No,
I
the
have
singer.
to ask you on the Dan and Benny show. They had
What the fuck?
they had Denny Brown on.
Oh, well.
What
that's
is your
another
issue
story.
with Denny Brown?
You know, it goes way back. I'm being serious. I mean, I can shoot with you. It goes way back, Denny and I. It's 35 years ago. And I'm not going to get into all the details because it'll paint Denny in a bad light. Not that he's not used to that, right, Denny?
Oh,
But maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll get into it someday. But yeah, Denny and I have had problems for years. And for some reason, he called me out on that show, I guess. Someone brought to my attention. And I told him in a response, Denny, I may be 60 years old, and I've said this many times before. I may be too old to wrestle, but I'm never too old to fight. If some guy breaks in my house or Fred's house, as this case is, the son of a bitch isn't leaving alive. So I am capable of fighting. So, Denny, if you want to throw down the gauntlet, we can pretend to be pro wrestlers, but we can reality be what we want to be 35 years ago. Wanted to be. I should have slapped the taste out of your mouth then, and I'm not above doing it now. But that's a whole nother story. We were trying to be nice and friendly. Now it's gone dark. Dark side of the cooker.
Dark side of the cooker. All right,
Tuesday at 8. Don't watch.
Bob, we're almost out of time. I do want to ask you a super serious question, though. You mentioned Mike Graham. Did you have a relationship with Mike Graham?
Yes, I love Mike. Mike was awesome. Actually, when my friend Jerry Gray and I were the mighty Yankees in Florida, yes, it's a stupid name, but guess what? We made more money, and we were the Florida Tag Team Champions. When Mike Graham and Kevin Sullivan are the ones that gave us that. Mike was always good to me. One of the best I ever been in the ring with. Easy as could be, light as a feather, smooth as silk. And I cried when he died, and I went to his funeral, and it was a good turnout too, real good turnout.
So
Sellout.
You mentioned Mike's funeral, and obviously on Dark Side of the Ring they spoke about possibly, the Graham family having issues with suicide. Do you believe suicide is hereditary?
No, I believe depression is suicide. No, I don't know. I don't think suicide can be. How can it be hereditary? I mean, whatever problems you have in life can trickle down because it affects everyone around you, and then they become more and more, and it piles up. Next thing you know, hello, And I'll be honest with you. I will sit here in front of all your viewers, all three of them, and I will say this:
what?
If
Got
I
more than
had
three viewers, but that's
if I
okay.
had the guts in the 60 years I've been alive, there are many times where I would have killed myself. And I'm telling you, I'm being 100% honest with you. If I had the guts, but I am a coward, a complete coward.
See,
Which
now
is also why I
I'll
was a
go on the
failure
other
in wrestling.
side. Wait a minute, Bob. I'll go on the other side and say you're a coward if you do take your life.
No. That's the misunderstanding people have about suicide. Suicide is the absolute bravest thing a person can do. Yes, it's the easy way out in the eyes of people who are left behind. But man, to sit there and have the ability to do that takes all the guts in the world. Doesn't make it right, but it still takes guts. To say it's the coward's way out, I can't agree with that.
Well, I'm
I
gonna
would say
challenge
God
you.
would sort it out, but
I'm
not
going
a
to
big
challenge you on that and say it's a control thing where you feel like you control your own destiny. You're going to make sure that you're the one that's going to make the final decision. And like you said, and I think you kind of glossed over it, I think you really should give it a little more attention. When you do something like that, you're leaving behind your family, your friends, and you're destroying a legacy, right? It's like when you do that, I don't know. Look, we just talked about Kerry Von Erich. Kerry Von Erich, to me, was one of the greatest wrestlers. To me, he was one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. When he took his life, I felt like, look, dude, you did drugs, you got caught, you're going to do some jail time, do your jail time, you got a kid, suck it up, buttercup.
I know it's easy for us to sit back and say that, but when you're not living in a person's shoes and not in their mind, you never know what's going through it until you realize what was, and that was a bullet. And it doesn't make it right. It is definitely a selfish act, but man, there's a time in your life when you become desperate, and there's only one way out. And the people who have the guts to do it, I say, I wish I had that guts 35 years ago, and I wouldn't be divorced from a whore right now.
So you weren't mad at Mike Graham when he took his life, your friend?
I wasn't mad. I was disappointed. Sure, I was disappointed, but I wasn't living in his shoes. I didn't know what he was going through, just like I didn't know what Eddie was going through, whether it really was what he was going through, or what he thought he was going through, or what the future held for him in his mind. We can't. It's easy to sit back and say what someone should do, but when we're not living in their shoes, again, It's not us. We have no real say in it. We can make all the opinions we want or say all the opinions. Like even Chris Benoit, as horrific as what he did, but we weren't there. We don't know the reasons. I can, like, you know what Sam Kinison used to say? Like, he goes, I don't condone abusing a woman, but I understand it. No, that don't.
Yeah, but you see, that's the problem I have. It's like we all have problems. Every one of us. Like I was,
and everybody handles them differently.
But wait a minute. When I was thinking today, when I was weeding, I go, I wonder if Greg Valentine has ever cut his own lawn. I swear to God, this is going through my head. I was like, I'm wondering if this guy ever had to pull weeds out of his flower bed, right?
Mike, you gotta put gas. You gotta put gas in my mower.
That's a weird. You know, I've thought of a lot of weird things, but I've never thought of stuff like that.
Could you push my mower for the hammer?
But my point, Jimmy, we both have gone through a bunch of shit in life, right?
Right.
And it's to me, it's like, how easy is it to take a few pills, put a gun to your head, whatever? All right.
It's not easy.
Listen, I think the answer has been explored by everybody sitting here. It's the combined answer that to me is the truth. Yes, it is incredibly selfish to do that to the ones you leave behind. But I am glad, unlike Mr. Cook, I'm glad I don't have the balls at this age to do something like that, because it does take some serious cojones to look in the mirror and do what you do. All right, that's insane to me. That's a whole different level of, are you kidding me? All right, thank God I don't have that in me. All right, I think we've all felt that way. We're all human. All right, nobody escapes emotion. Nobody escapes trauma. Nobody escapes turmoil. Nobody escapes bad feelings about yourself or what others are doing to you.
Well, clearly they do escape it. They kill themselves.
Well, there you go. That gets back to selfish. So we just did a Lion King, Bob. We went full circle.
Well, here's one thing I'm going to escape. I'm going to escape this interview. So, Bob.
Oh, did I offend you? Because I realize we're in 2024 where being offended is like a daily thing in people's life.
Listen,
they actually wait to be offended so they can complain about it.
Listen, Bob, the only thing that offends me is your wrestling matches. But besides that,
wow.
Well, I gotta admit, when I'm a little.
And let me tell you, wait, Bob, those 3 people wrote in and they agree with Mike. What do you think about that?
Well, I say that when I do get extra tired and I can't completely fall asleep, I do watch some of my old matches. I will go there. But back to the suicide thing. Besides having no guts, I fear death more than anything in life. That's kind of cool, actually. I fear death more than anything in life. I like that. I'll get a T-shirt and put that on a T-shirt.
On a serious note, I'm a big fan. Thank you for really taking the time out. It was a great interview. I really do appreciate it. You're a good man. And thanks for joking.
You don't know me very well, and to be honest with you, I'll be completely honest. Before I agreed to do this, I never liked your guys' show.
Jeez,
I used to watch it. I used to watch it and say, "God, these guys are." I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying. Before you reached out, these guys. The one guy's trying to be Artie Lang, and look what happened to him.
Oh, here we go.
The other guy's trying to be. I haven't been able to figure out yet.
Here we go. We got John Sawyer insulting us, Mike.
Well, I'm being honest, though. No, I'm not insulting. I'm being honest.
Bob,
there's a difference.
Listen,
insults are usually done to insult. I'm being honest. That's all.
There's nothing.
Well, at least,
you can't.
At least there's that.
You can't like everything, and I get it. But listen, now you realize how talented we really are, because look what we did with you. We actually probably just made you relevant right now. Think about that.
You're interesting. You're interesting and everything. Now you're interesting. Congratulations.
If I check my email after this and it says, you have a sale from Pro Wrestling Tees, that means you made me relevant. If I didn't, guess what? Nobody cared about this show or me.
When you see that you have a sale, and I'm asking the Monte the Pharaoh family out there, when you have a sale, you can apologize. And by the way, your ex-wife wrote back in. She wants you back after she saw what kind of man you really are.
How do you like them apples there, Bob?
To be honest with you?
Yeah.
And this is being completely honest. As much as she's done to me, as much as she's done to me in the past, and as much as she's done to me recently, I would go back, because guess what? The sweet spots are sweet spots, and I'm not above going for those.
I totally agree. There's no pride. There's the pride, pride, whatever. Anyway, last thing, Bob, can you just apologize to our friends Dan and Benny, and apologize for being so mean?
Yeah. Be
I
nice.
apologize to Ben and Jerry. Wait a minute.
Oh, come on. That's not their. That's not
No.
their names.
No, seriously, I'll apologize to them, even though I don't remember what they look like. But because I wasn't on video.
You
when I
weren't
was-
on video on your audio.
I don't do shows that aren't video unless they're in Fortune.
Bob,
Or I don't
you're,
do video shows unless they're in Fortune.
you're
Oh, my.
incredible, man. I
Oh, my
seriously
God.
thank you so much.
Too
I
bad someone
really had
didn't
a
figure
good
that
time.
out 30 years ago. I'd also be rich.
Boy, oh boy, you're killing me.
But let me go ahead and apologize to all the fans. My favorite comedian of all time was Don Rickles, and like Don says at the end of his spiels, I love everybody. It's all just fun. We can all make fun of each other.
Absolutely.
Colors, creeds, likes, dislikes.
Yeah.
But especially we'll make fun of the trans, but we can make fun of each other.
Bob, I have a
Did
feeling
speaking of making fun of each other, did you watch the Tom Brady roast? Unbelievably hilarious.
the best roast ever.
I
I
loved it.
Well, it's a great roast when Eli Manning, who doesn't even show up, says, "I didn't want to have to roast him for a third time."
Jimmy, the
laughed.
best joke in there, they were talking about, I think, crypto coin. And I forget the girl's name, but she's making fun of Gronk, and Gronk's like, yo, Bob, why don't you do it? Do you know the joke?
Nikki Glacier.
Nikki Glacier. What
But
was
I don't remember the joke, but it was something
was
to
like,
do with the crypto
I
coin.
even knew Bitcoin was fake.
Right. I know dollars, whatever. But yeah. Or like Terry Funk would say, that was hilarious, God damn it.
That's a
That
great
was
Terry
good.
Funk. I love it.
That was good.
I love it. All right, Jimmy, you want to send us out?
You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh with Mr. Bob Cook, and until
Thanks.
next time, later.